Okay, so I forgot one more thing. So one additional lesson before we get into reporting. Today we're going to learn how to double click on an edit table to launch a record in a different window. That'll be a dialog box. I'll explain more in a moment, right after these few words. Hi, this is Martin and welcome to this next video in my series in which I'm getting started with OpenInsight 10. And for those of you that have been following the video series, you will be expecting a video all about reporting. Unfortunately, this is not that video. When I was thinking about the patient record form, it dawned on me that we'd actually missed a trick. And if we return a record and we go to Consultations, we can view the consultation information, but it would be nice if we were able to double click on the ID to launch the record and maybe update it, or maybe not update it. It's entirely your call. Now we'll have a look at doing that, but this is going to get a little bit interesting. So if we were to, well, let's go ahead and do it. We'll add the code. I've actually already added the code in here. So for the edit table, on the cell double click event, I have got this block of code, which is declare function dialog box, cell pos equals get property, and we're going to get the position of the cell that we've clicked on. We then set the column and the row, and if the column is 1, then we will go ahead, we'll build an array, get the position and everything else, and then at the end here we will launch the dialog box, passing in the window name, this window, and this ID. So in other words, the window that we want to call and the ID that we want to read. On the MP apps form, on the create event, we're going to have this piece of code, which very simply says if it's a dialog, then pass in the data into the EDL ID. We will set the record as read only, and then we will read the record. So all very, very straightforward. And if I just launch the application and we launch the patient's window, returning record number 1, we can then view record number 6. Now, because we've set it as read only, we won't actually be able to update it. Now, one of the reasons that we can't update it is because we are launching this as a dialog window and we can't actually get to this button to do a save, but we can actually edit the information. So the question here is, do you want to give your users the ability to update the information, or do you want them to only have the ability to view the information? So it would be useful to view the information because obviously we've got the images, which we're not displaying in the patient records, and there might be other information within this record. Now, if you are going to set it as read only, then it would make sense to come into here and save this record. So if I do a save as MP apps, and I'll just do this as read only, and we OK that. It's just compiling at the moment. Then in here it would make sense if we were to set all of these controls to be read only. just select all of those. Have we got read only? Okay, I think I need to not select the combo box. Let's select all those to read only. Then if we do a save, and in here we need to be underscore read only. We will compile and save, and if we test run that, theoretically we can now launch that, but we can't actually change anything. Oop. So that's all now locked down. Okay, we might need to adjust that, but all of these controls here we can't actually add anything into. So that would be one way of handling that particular dilemma. However, if we change this back to MP apps, and we'll change this to dialog, and we do a file, let's just open the previous one, so MP apps, we'll do a file, save as, and so MP apps dialog, and OK. Then what we might want to do on this form is move all of these controls down a little bit. It's just, the thing is, if we move that down at the moment, it's just going to make that longer. Let me just see if I can. Oh, that's going to mess the form up actually if I do that. So what we would need to do is we need to move these controls around a little bit, and then we would need to add a toolbar. So for the moment I'm just going to drop a button onto here, events, click event, and we'll just set a quick event on here to write the row. So we'll do a save, and we'll do a save on there. Then if we do a test run, patients, record number 1. Okay, I'm calling the wrong one. Bear with me a second. Let's just go back. Patients form. That's dialog. So we will compile that code, save. I don't think I saved the form. You remember, you must save the form after you've saved the code, otherwise it doesn't work properly. So if we now test run that, now we can add in Martin onto record number 6. We'll do a save, close out of there, and then if we launch number 6, then you'll see you've got the Martin, and you'll see there just a moment ago Martin popped in there. So in this particular instance, you're going to need to have a button bar or toolbar to have your save, delete, clear and everything else. The other thing that would be nice to do on the patients form is for the columns, if we're for the ID, we will go into the font and set that to be underlined. And for the cell styles, we'll set those to be blue, and I think that we'll set the row label width to 0, and if we now just test run there, you will see that we get blue underlined text in the first column indicating that it's clickable, and I think that's a little bit nicer than just plain black text. So anyway, in this video we have looked at launching a record from the edit table, from a list of controls in the edit table, but we've also spoken about thinking about your application with a dialog box. Do you want it to be read-only? Do you want it to be editable? And then if you're using a window that has been designed to run as an MDI child, then you might need to create a duplicate window with a toolbar on it with buttons so that the user can save, clear, delete and edit the records. That does then mean that you would have to have two forms. Alternatively, you could create one form where the toolbar is invisible, and then you would make it visible, but you would also need to have all these controls on panels so that you could move everything around. That's a little bit too complicated for the time that I've got available today, but that would then give you two forms in one. So there will be one form that you'd need to maintain, and then when this when the MP apps form was run on the create event, you would say, is it dialog, show the toolbar, is it not, then don't. But like I said, that's a little bit out of scope of this video. I wanted to keep it relatively simple. So that's this video done. The next one should be reporting, and I'll see you with that one very soon. Thanks so much. Bye bye.